Welcome to Heart Magic Wisdom. Today I want to look at the question, is a soldier a murderer? Because in our society we play this game where for the same type of action we then put words over it, and then depending on which word we use, then we classify it as something different in our mind. So if the leader of a powerful country goes into a different country by force and takes away some of their stuff, then they say that we confiscated the stuff. And if somebody would do the same to them, like if they came into their country by force, took away their stuff, then they would say they stole it. So here I think it's obvious and everyone can see it. And for me, I think the murderer and soldier discussion is very similar. Because, there's like this type of movie where some lone psycho killer rents like a van and he drives up to some high ground location and then he aimlessly shoots at people. And then obviously the detectives catch him in the end, and obviously he's a murderer and he's convicted. And then on the other hand, there's some young men who go into the military and then they are taught to execute commands and not ask questions. And all soldiers have to believe that they are the good guys. And so this means you think you're the good guys, and the people that you are fighting, they also believe that they are the good guys. I mean, specifically the soldiers. I don't know what the leaders think what they are, but the soldiers have to think that they are the good guys. But what happens is you get a command, you have to go somewhere and maybe assassinate a specific target or just kill like a group of people who are in a specific location. And now you don't know these people personally. You couldn't verify yourself whether all the assessments that were made on your target were correct, and you still have to go there. You have to take out your weapon and you have to shoot the target, which is technically exactly the same action as the crazy psycho murderer in the first place, but only here somebody else told you to do it, and in the first case a crazy voice in your head told you to do it. And yes, you can say there are cases where it's all right to defend yourself. I'm not saying in no situation ever should you defend yourself. But in all these big wars, it's usually, the leader declares some type of war situation, and they obviously never say, we will now attack a country. They say, we are defending ourselves, or we are launching a preemptive attack, because if we don't do this, then the other people will attack us first. So there is always a narrative around it, but if we strip all the narratives away, there is often the chance of a diplomatic solution, and the leaders make this choice. So like you could say the war is the result of the failure of the leaders to come to a better agreement. And yes, of course, I don't think our leaders are all acting in the best interest of the people. But then the society in either case just plays along and uses the words. And it makes some sense, I guess. I mean, if you're men, the men of your towns and cities, they go into war and some of them come back. I mean, it would be hard to say, welcome back, you murderers. I mean, it just emotionally feels very, very heavy. And obviously emotionally it feels much better to say they are heroes and they are soldiers, but they are also murderers. And sometimes they are murderers because they didn't have a choice, because either their government forced them to fight, or because in their own assessment of the situation, they thought it was the best course of action. But the crazy psychopath killer maybe also didn't have a choice, because he had a voice in his head driving him crazy and telling him to do it. So there is always a line of reasoning you can give why you do it or why people do it. But for me, I think the words are so far apart in the understanding of our collective, and it's too far apart. It's even like if a soldier did anything that somebody else told him to, then now automatically he is free from all guilt and all blame. But it all is just a weird construct, because if someone else tells me to kill somebody and he's not a high-ranking official in the military, then I can't say, well, somebody else told me. So it's only allowed if it's like a high-ranking military person telling me to do something, and then I can say, well, the blame is with this guy now. But if I wasn't specifically like forced with the threat of violence to do it, then I feel like more than 90% of the responsibility is on the person that executes the action and not on the person that orders the action. And you know, it's complicated because let's say there is a country that is poor and some people don't really have a good option to feed their families, and the military offers you money, then now you are semi-forced, you know, like it's like the indirect threat of you have no money and you need money to survive, and this is also a threat. So it's a complicated situation, and I don't want to hate on any specific person, but it takes the people who execute the killing to have the mass killing happen. If just like two leaders of a country were in a disagreement and nobody would show up for the war, then there is no war. And yes, I think I'm simplifying it a little bit too much in some aspects. I know that life is complicated, and if somebody else is prepared to use force, then you're not in a good position if you're not prepared to use force, I mean, as a country. But yeah, I think ideally we would have the same sort of moral stance on everybody. And if somebody else tells you to do something and then you do it, then I think it's still kind of on you. Because in every other situation we do it like this. Only if like the high-ranking military people tell you to do something, then we say, well, this person, they just followed orders. So like they are in no case the problem. There is no burden on them because they just followed the orders. And let me say, I don't want to criticize like an individual person. I'm sure it's hard for everyone who is in this position. And you know, soldiers who survive, they often have post-traumatic stress disorder. And for the rest of their lives, they have to deal with the images that they have in their mind. And they think about these things probably as well. Or the other option is you could close yourself off to your emotions and your sense of connection, but then that creates different sorts of problems for you. So it's hard for everybody involved. So like the idea is not to put people down. And I mean, ideally, I hope we get to a place where we act in the best interests, all of us act in the best interests of all others. And yeah, that would be nice. All right, this was the video. Thank you for watching and see you soon.